you let me love you forever, forever. I wanna love you. Will you let me love you forever, forever and a day, 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 day.
Happy Monday. May the 4th be with you. Welcome to TMW Online, the Melanated Way. I'm Linda. That's Abby. You know, sometimes you guys, I wish you could see what was going on behind the scenes. Like, it took us a minute to get together. And by, I mean us, me for different reasons than that one over there. So if she's looking a little shiny and bright, you might want to ask her why later.
It was a good weekend, guys. It was a good weekend. That's why I sound like this. You're going to have to bear with me today.
That being said, we are covering all things Before the 90 Days, Season 8, Episode 21, the Tell-All Part 2, which is wrapping up this entire season. My overall thoughts on Part 2 was I was underwhelmed. I feel like there was a lot of missed opportunities. I don't feel like we covered all the couples in detail for the amount of effort we as fans put into the season, 21 episodes, 2 hours long. But, I say that a lot, right, Becca? It needed a part 3. There were so many things that were not talked about, just missed opportunities. What were your thoughts, Abby?
The same, like, the biggest thing is the immigration stuff that's going on in my mind. And there were 0 immigration related questions asked in this part, except for, have you started the K1? There was no question about what are the requirements that you're trying to meet? Did you consult with another attorney? Just all of that was missed. And then the big glaring thing is, why does everyone feel entitled to deal with Sheena's money? Why does everybody feel entitled to tell Sheena what she should do with her money? Let me look at the comments. I sound like the Godfather, don't I?
Oh. Hi, Jaslo. Hey, Becca.
I'm gonna do this while my voice like this. I'm gonna be like,
listen, Abby's on a whole different level than all of us know, so bear with us. Right? Becca says no one calling out Burkhan's racist comments. Listen, you guys, a lot of missed opportunities. And like I said, I was underwhelmed for part 2.
Sorry, guys, it's my tea.
Y'all, Abby has been a mess for the last 35 minutes. A whole mess. She's making her tea right now on our live.
I'm sorry.
Everyone needs to stay at Ashita's bank account. Facts. Hey, Brown Frown. Jocelyn's like, you got strep throat? Not that type of strep throat. Not from that. Anyways, okay, so let's jump into it. Lisa and Daniel. Again, missed opportunity. I think this whole thing, how are we not talking about how crazy Daniel sounds, how he sounds like a stalker, how he sounds like, listen, he's so sad that his opportunity to go to America is gone that he's not going to let that go. He feels he put in too much time and work and effort for it to be done. The fact that we didn't talk about this Nigerian priest and the fact that Faith, Lisa's daughter, is saying she was cursed by a Nigerian priest, and we're not going to talk about that. We're just going to let the world think that that's what it was, because again, telling you as an African that how disrespectful that is and how ignorant that is beyond me. Because if you have followed us this whole season, Abby and I talked about this, and I want to know why we didn't talk about how, Lisa, you didn't know what was going on, but you blatantly lied and accepted blessings on top of a lie, and then another lie, and then another lie, and then you're kissing bottles and allowing smoke and words that you don't know to come into your life, and then you're going to try to blame the Nigerian priest, who that's what he does, that's his job, but you're not going to take any responsibility for your part of it. I find that completely outrageous.
And again, what does traditional marriage mean with respect to the immigration process? Is that going to be an issue for Lisa going forward? That wasn't even a question on anybody's mind, but it matters because traditional marriages are respected by immigration in terms of needing to get a divorce. Like, you can't use a traditional marriage to do a petition, but if you're moving on to another marriage, you do have to make a divorce to get out of that marriage, that traditional marriage.
100%, which is everything that we talked about on our show. Some people in Africa only get married traditionally, and they're married legally for forever. Right? It has nothing to do with the immigration process, like Abby just said, but you can't just be like, oh no, whatever, I'm going to go and marry someone else. It doesn't work like that. And the fact that we didn't address that, I mean, what are we sitting 2 hours for? I just don't get it. We're sitting 2 hours for you guys to talk about nothing. It doesn't make sense to me. So that was the first missed opportunity, in my opinion. Stig says, hey, Lisa, it only works if you believe in it. If you rebuke it, then you'll be fine. Again, that's not how it works, right? If you're accepting the blessings and you're doing the rituals to accept those blessings, you can't just be like, oh, today, I'm not into it today. That's not how it works. Inform people. Like, I'm so about just be informed. Just don't take things for what people say. Inform yourself, be educated, and just don't listen to nonsense, because this was nonsense to me. So then we find out that Lisa had a ectopic pregnancy and had a partial hysterectomy, but still able to get pregnant. She was 10 weeks pregnant, and that's where she said that, she was dying and all of that. And she blames the curse of the Nigerian priest for that. Feels like there's a curse over her life. She goes on to say that Daniel knew about her pregnancy, but didn't want anyone to know, not even her daughter, and then blames Daniel for her not telling her daughter and keeping her daughter in the dark, and therefore she had to go through it alone. Well, he's in Nigeria. He's like 15 hours ahead of you. Plus, allegedly, you haven't blocked. And you live with your daughter, so what blocked you from telling your daughter what was happening to you? Idiocracy. Again, what part are you at? What point, Lisa, do you take responsibility for your own life? Because here's what then it goes on to say that she's like, oh, well, I found my truth and I found my voice and I'm going to stand up to you and I'm no one's my master, on and on and on and on. And okay, so now you're a true independent woman? Because that's not what I saw in this episode at all. First of all, those eyes still, okay. So it was distracting to me. It was so Avatar that I just was like, what is happening right now? But again, I just powered through, you guys. I powered through. Then we find out that Daniel, like the whole season, doesn't really trust her. His whole lesbianism of it all is still stuck in his head. So he was accusing her of cheating. And, how can I believe you? I think you were cheating. You're cheating. And then there's this new guy in Nigeria. First of all, missed opportunity. Here we find out briefly that Lisa met this new guy on social media. They became best friends. Now all of a sudden he's the love of her life. His name is Ty. He looks like he's 12. How are we not going to talk about this, you guys? He's 31, but I don't even believe that he's 31. He looks like he's 12. I believe 27 at most. Okay. Now this is her new fiance. She's going back to Nigeria to meet and marry him. Faith approves of him. why are we not talking about, first of all, how did y'all meet? Like where on social media did you meet? Why is it okay for her to be, what do we call it? A passport mama, whatever it is you guys said it was, the female version of a passport bro. Why is it okay for her to be like, I'm sorry, but there are people, and I know you know this, Abby. So I'm going to tell you, as a minority woman, as a Black woman, there are white people that prey on minorities. They sexualize you, they belittle you, they think that they can overpower you and just use you all because they've sexualized you in their mind. And as Black women, we go through that quite often. Okay. And she's the female version of that. Like, what is it about these Black young men in Nigeria specifically that you feel like you found the love of your life? Just what?
It's parasitic.
Just 20 episodes ago, Daniel was the love of your life, and you were not taking your wig off. You were taking crazy blessings and lying and not owning up to who you are as an individual so that you could have sex with that man. And you literally had a blessing, turned to him and said, "Can we have sex now?" So now you roping in this young Thai boy. Why are we not talking about that?
Nobody asked about how'd you get pregnant the very first time that you guys had an experience together after you took us shopping for condoms. What's going on there? Nobody asked about her history and all the lies that she told. Nobody asked, why are you dating someone who is anti-LGBTQ if that is a part of your story and a part of who you are and a part of your community? Nobody's asked, and nobody asked, hi, do you believe in the practices that Lisa went through with Daniel? There was just way too much on the table.
Ryan says, Ty's a better scammer than Daniel. Tina says, everyone is the love of her life if they are brave enough. Yeah, he definitely looks like a kid, for crying out loud. Lisa has had 6 loves of her life already. Becca says she heard about colonizing and was like, that's for me.
I was very, very, very surprised by Faith. From what we've seen from Faith previously, I thought she was going to come in and say, Mom, you're doing it again. You're moving on way too quickly. But instead, she came swiping at Daniel instead of saying, hey, Mom, this is the time for you to have a wake-up call. I'm not even going to address Daniel. I'm not going to talk to him. Let's talk about you and how you move through relationships.
Yeah, again, yeah, I don't know. Faith, you were strong all the way up into the tell-all. I don't know if it was being in the studio and the lights and glitter and everyone else that made you feel smaller, but like,
Yeah. The reason why I say that, you guys, just in case you didn't see it, there was another interview that she gave where she specifically said that she wanted her mom to be on the show so her mom could see herself and the way that she behaves and how it's been so detrimental to her as a child, moving so many times with her mom, going back and forth with all these different relationships. That's the reason why I said that.
100%. So Lisa is planning to go to Nigeria to be with her new young Nigerian boyfriend named Ty. Faith is going to join her, and she plans to marry him when she gets there, which means we are not done with Lisa. And we already knew this, you guys. When someone is really juicy TV, they're not going to let that person go. That's why we had to endure Ed for as long as we had to, and Angela for as long as we had to. If someone is like juicy TV, they're going to be in the franchise for some time. So we're going to see her again some way, somehow, before the 90 days part 2 for her, where she goes back to Nigeria and they'll film Ty for sure. Elise was asking some very good questions. Elise and Forrest.
Mm-hmm.
Elise and Forrest should have been the hosts because they were the only ones that were really asking questions properly, in my opinion. So Elise is like, what's the rush? Like, which is what Faith should have said. Why are we rushing into this? You are literally just saying that you're finding your voice as a 50 plus something old woman. Why don't you go and find your voice completely? Work on yourself. Stop preying on these young Black men and go from there. See what happens.
Mhm.
Maybe that could be it. Then Daniel kind of gives a warning to Ty that he should be careful because traditionally Lisa and Daniel are still married. And at the end of the day, Lisa's like, I need you to just leave me alone and let me go. And Daniel says, no, we are not done. And it's not because he loves her, you guys. It's because he sees that this young other man is going to swoop in and steal the green card that he has put in the hard work to get. Abby?
I agree. And not a single question, you guys. Not a single question to Daniel about why he was so upset when she took the wig off, but he was okay with getting pooped on.
That part. And do we even know if Lisa is divorced from her last wife? Again, Ryan, missed opportunity, questions not. Like, you're going to give us all this information, and then you're going to wrap up the show with all these questions that were not asked. Makes no sense. Do you want anything else before I move on to Forrest and Sheena?
No, let's go. Forrest, Sheena, and Molly.
So we know from this season that Forrest's mom, Molly, and his lack of a job are the obstacles in the relationship between himself and Sheena. He is now a farm tech. He tells everyone that he's making $781 a week as a farm tech, and it's stressing him out, and it's stressing his body out that he has to work 40 hours a week. I had to pause because, this man hasn't held a job, right? So he's now stressed out. Oh, 40 hours a week. Plus sometimes I have to work overtime.
Oh my God. I have to do what everybody else has to do to have food and a place to live. Oh my God. What was me?
It's so terrible. I don't have time for my Sheens. I don't have time for my mom. I'm so tired when I get home from work. I was like, welcome to America. Like,
Right.
as a
Also, welcome to Sheena's life. Sheena also works.
I mean, hello. You're like 40 and you're just like, oh Lord, I gotta work 40 hours a week. Okay. Yeah. Becca said, where was Dev? Jocelyn's like, I was crying laughing. Oh, you poor baby.
Dev was somewhere off in his own world, child.
Dev's like, I've had enough. I've had enough. I'm just gonna stand here. I don't want to just sit here. He's had enough. So we also find out that he hasn't started the K1 visa application process. And here's where I wanted to talk to Abby because I've not ever heard this before, but he said he can't. First of all, he doesn't have the money saved up yet. He can't do it online. It's all by paper, and he doesn't have a printer, he said. Okay. It's 2026. Okay. If you don't have a printer, okay. But there are stores you could go to. You can email USPS. You can email FedEx.
You can go to the public library.
You can go to the library. There are plenty of places where you could print out things if that's truly what's holding you up. If that's truly the only thing that's holding you up. And then even if you don't know those things, with your $781 that you made this week, printers are not expensive because not everyone's buying printers anymore. You could literally take $40 and go buy a printer. So I'm just trying to figure out, what? What do you want to say that, Abby, in the K1 visa
Honest,
process?
I know that we all know that, or we all kind of like Forrest and Sheena for each other. We feel like they're a good fit for each other. But think about your long term ability to live with somebody and partner with somebody if they're unable to problem solve the tiniest of issues. The problem for him was, I need to print something. And he was unable to problem solve that issue. That is, no matter how much you love somebody, you cannot make them competent. And she's supposed to give up her life and her career to come live here with somebody who cannot do the tiniest amount of problem solving.
I just think it was an excuse. I think it was an excuse because it's leading up to him not wanting to work anymore. Yes, he's saying he loves being a farm tech, but the complaining so soon is a sign to me that you're trying to have an exit strategy saying, hey, what is he on disability? Hey, disability, this is just really so hard on my body. It's stressing my body out. I can't do it. Like, that's how I took it.
But
Now, the fact
his disability is not related to his, I understand he has autism, but did I miss a physical disability?
I mean, that's all I know is the autism part.
Okay.
The plus side of this all, you guys, was 99% of the cast came to help him. Everyone offered, hey, I'll help you. Even disgusting Rick was like, hey, I'll help you through that process. Laura's like, I'll help you through that process. Anna Lynn was like, hey, I can help Sheena on her end. Like, everyone came and rallied around him. And I thought that that was really a sweet moment.
Yeah.
Molly shows up and we find out that her and Forrest are still kind of working on their relationship because, again, she is an over-involved helicopter mom, in my opinion. They show the flashback of a not seen before scene where she is giving Forrest lube and condoms and telling him to have a good time and not have to have any babies, and then going on to see if they followed through on that. Like, just totally being inappropriate as far as I'm concerned. But she didn't think anything was wrong with that. But everyone around her thought, hey, this is a little bit inappropriate. It's making me feel uncomfortable. Sheena said it made her feel uncomfortable. And when asked if she thought she was too involved in their sex life, she's like, no. And everyone was like, that's wild. What were your thoughts, Abby?
I agree. I think it's okay to have open conversations. Like, I like that she was encouraging him to be respectful. But as far as like going into the detail of what they're doing and could do, that was inappropriate. And Forrest actually handled it really well. He said, if we want that kind of information, we'll come and ask you.
Yeah, but then on the tell-all, he was like, I think it's okay. I think it's okay that she says all these things. And then Sheena's like, well, no, it makes me feel uncomfortable that she's overstepping. And then he's like, oh, well, the part where we talked about preparing to have sex was okay, but maybe her asking how it was not okay. Like, he went 50-50 on it, which is what I think he does for most of the relationship he has between his mom and Sheena, as he rides that 50-50 so that he doesn't offend either of them. I don't think he really takes a stance for either woman. And if he does, he leans more towards his mom.
Absolutely. And I'm sure he got reamed out in places where we didn't see for not taking her side.
Yep. One of the things that I thought was hilarious was that Daniel jumped in and said that he loved Molly. And I was like, yeah, I could see how you two would get along 100%. 100%. You two frickin' frack. And Molly goes on to say that she really does support Sheena and Forrest at the end of the day, as long as Sheena doesn't lie, and says that Sheena still lies and is very deceptive. She hasn't been saving for the K1 visa. She's still spending her money on her family, finds that Sheena is manipulative. And Sheena's like, well, my family doesn't ask for money anymore. And then Molly and Forrest are like, no, you're lying because, you know, you're still giving money to your parents and your parents are giving money to your brother and you're still supporting them. And this whole season, I just don't understand it. And if someone wants to explain it to me, if you're in the live chat or you're watching the replay, I don't understand why these two Americans are trying to police this Filipina's money. I just don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. It's like Tom and his family trying to police my money. Like, for what? You're there in America minding your own business. Why don't you mind your business and not my business? I don't understand it. Why are you guys, excuse me, so upset that she's spending her own money the way she wants to spend it? Make it make sense to me.
And they keep saying she has to save for the king. No, she doesn't. The onus is on Forrest to prove that he's financially stable to support her. She doesn't have to show any money in her bank account for that. I was really hoping that Anna Lynn would step in here because I feel like she might be able to explain the cultural issues happening a little bit more than Sheena is able to. But nobody stuck up for Sheena.
No, and it actually flipped. And as she was explaining that she was helping her family and she was helping Forrest, I want you guys to not miss that. So she's still helping her family as a cultural obligation, but this fool who's already complaining about having a job and having to work for 40 hours a week is being supported by the Filipina in the Philippines. She supports Forrest still, which has always been their issue. That's what I'm trying to say. They want her to come over to literally be enslaved to them, where she's the breadwinner and they can just kick back and collect their disability. Because the way they're policing her money as if it was their own is wild to me. And the way that she's supporting Forrest and she's supposed to be in the developing country and he's an able-bodied white male is beyond me. It's beyond me. So
I'm just looking up the exchange rate. So let's see. Okay. 1 Filipino dollar is 16 cents US. And to have some perspective on it, it's $90 for a 1 liter carton of milk in the Philippines.
So there you go.
So her sending money at that exchange rate, crazy.
So at the end of the day, she's working double time to even send him $100, but she's still supporting him. She's supporting him. Just keep that in the back of your mind. So then they start talking about these screenshots again, and Forrest is like, you know, you need to send me screenshots once a month, and I don't want to have to ask for them. And she's like, you know, okay, I feel comfortable. I could do that. And then Elise is like, oh, you know what? I think that Sheena's the issue. I used to think that Molly was the issue, but everyone is all of a sudden thinking that Sheena is holding something back or that she's lying. And I was like, I don't see what you guys are seeing. If she is like hesitant about talking about money, so who isn't? And then you guys are all going to rally against her because you don't understand why she's not so freely open with her money. None of you guys are talking about your financial situation. Would you be as comfortable or uncomfortable as her? I don't know. But I don't understand it. And I don't understand how the cast turned against her.
They seem to have very limited, not just Anna Lynn, but I was just hoping that any of the people on the opposite side that have more family-focused cultures would be able to step in and help her explain. Because I really think that what's happening is she's just having a really hard time explaining that even if her parents don't ask her directly for money, that there are certain things they do that she's been conditioned growing up to know that's what they want. I watched a TikTok of a girl, and I think she's Korean. I'm not 100% sure, but she was explaining how her mom will never ask for money, but she'll do things like say, "Oh, I'm gonna ride with you to Costco the next time you go," and then as they're going through the store, "Oh, I bet plums are really nice this season." She never says, "Oh, I want you to buy me some plums from Costco." She does it like that, you know? And so I think there's kind of like a cultural thing going on that she's just having a lot of difficulty explaining.
Ryan says it's the fact that she shouldn't have to explain what she does with her money. That's it. That's it.
Also,
That's it. That's it. My last note says that Molly then goes on to say that she's worried that Sheena won't actually come to the US because of her family obligations. But again, let's flip it. Forrest wanted to stay in the Philippines and you absolutely would not allow it. So why are you now holding that against Sheena? Like the double standard of it all is wild to me. The audacity of it all is wild to me. And the missed opportunities for questioning is really disappointing to me. There was, again, with this couple, so many things that needed to be addressed because, again, we spent hours upon hours invested in this couple and we didn't get our questions answered. Do you want to add anything before I move on to Aviva and Stig?
Let's go. Aviva and Stig and Auntie Charity. What's her name? Auntie
Spring?
Auntie Spring, yes.
Yeah. Okay. This is, you know what I want to say is that Aviva looks or seems like she's a very sweet young girl, and I want her to stay single and go and explore life and travel and find herself because she really, you could tell that she was really invested in this relationship, and there was no reason for her to be as invested as she was. And the one question of the whole tell-all that I felt Sean asked appropriately and in perfect timing was, why did you want a kid with Stig after just meeting him? That's the question we all wanted to know, right? She came in, she's like having unprotected sex. She wanted to have a baby. She was disappointed when it was negative, all of this stuff, just to look to see. Can you imagine her being pregnant now and you're going to be tied to this guy forever when he didn't care about you at all? He wanted to come to America, low-key was scamming you, but you didn't know it? Like, that was the only question that Sean asked that I was like, okay, finally, she's asking the proper question. But did we get a proper answer? No. That's the other thing. As a journalist myself, here's the thing, Abby. If I'm going to ask you a question, first of all, I'm going to know the answer to it because I'm going to then need to have a follow-up question depending on what your answer is. And if you do not answer, I'm going to have a third question to circle back to get us back on track with the question that I originally answered. I don't understand why that is not what we do here. So you're asking a question that we all want to know as fans. Why did you want to have a kid with him? You didn't even know him. Yeah, you had an online relationship with him, which is what Abby and I say all the time. Your online relationship, you guys are not relationships. You guys are friggin' online pals. And when you meet, you literally are just meeting that person. It's like a first date. So I don't care if you guys have been dating for 6 years online. You don't know that person. Period and full stop. So why do you want to have a baby with this person? Let's talk about that because you don't know this person. Was there a follow-up on that? Do any of you know what the real answer was? Oh, no?
I have an idea. It's a very mean thing to say.
No, but did you hear an answer on the
no.
Right. We did not.
No.
But what did you want to say, Abby?
There are a lot of women out there who just want a little biracial baby.
Facts. Those are facts. Stig says that this whole time that he was just thinking with his eggplant, and yeah, but we all knew that. We knew, at least Abby and I knew that from jump. Because what I think, and if you guys want to go back and refresh your memories, I said Stig is the Belize version of Soldier Boy. He thinks he's hotter, more talented, and more famous than he really is. And he thrives on that. He thrives on that attention. He thrives on reeling women in his country and specifically his city in on the small notoriety that he has amongst his circle. And, just insert, move, same person, same situation. Forrest, again, should have been the co-host, said Stig is a player and you're talking about all the other things that Aviva was doing, but are you sure you weren't sleeping around? Again, that's the question. All season, we've been talking about his discretions, his possible lying and cheating and all of this, and we don't follow up. We don't follow. Forrest says you seem like a player. How do you not ask a follow-up question from that? So then as the viewers, we're just left with nothing, because here's what happened. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but when directly asked about what Corinth said, whether he had a bunch of girlfriends and a bunch of babies and he just sat there. First of all, silence, you guys. Silence is going to tell you that he's trying to calculate how he can come across not as a liar on international TV. And then when he said no and was silent, that needed exploring because that man was lying. But no, we're just going to leave it like that. And it's going to be crickets in the studio. No questions, Sean. Okay. So Forrest says that Stig is a player. They flash back to the Mayan runes and the proposal, and it brought Aviva to tears. And she thought it was hard to watch, hard to see, because she really did want her relationship with Stig to work out. Again, to me, missed opportunity. Why did you want it to work out? He's shown you that he doesn't care about you. You literally told us that he broke up with you via text. You are hearing that he's with other women. You're the one that showed us the day he broke up with you over text, he then was with another girl, and he put that girl on social media and said beautiful women. So my question to you would be, why are you crying, and why do you still think you wanted it to work out and that you still love him? Where is your self-respect? Because you're better than that. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. Those would have been great follow-up questions. I think another good follow-up question would have been, I understand that say it like this. I understand that you're sad to reflect on that, but don't you feel like you're better off without him?
That part. Because Aviva goes on to say that she realizes that her relationship was toxic. They had trust issues. He was mean to her. When she got back to the US, he came and visited her, and it was a mess. And then he thinks that she cheated on him, and there was like some weird text exchange where some random dude, no-name dude, texted her randomly and said, that guy doesn't love you like I would. How are we not asking what guy while you were in Belize? Who was that? And how did he get your phone number? And why would he think that he could love you more? Is there some type of relationship behind the scenes that we don't know about? But
Right.
No, we're just going to let that slide. And then we're going to find out that she goes to Mexico for an all-inclusive weekend. At a pool party, he calls and he sees that she's in a VIP section with men. Duh. It's a VIP section pool party. Duh. And he calls her. She hangs up, or they get disconnected or whatever. And then now she's cheating on him. And then he says, F you, FUB, all, and talks derogatory to her. And no one says anything. I was like, you're gonna let this man sit here act all nonchalant, prim and proper when he's literally calling this girl a effing B? No one's gonna Sean, you're not gonna say anything about that. You're not gonna talk about the blatant disrespect. You're not gonna talk about how he, being a rap star in Belize, does literally the same thing on a regular basis that she just did one time hanging out for a weekend in Mexico. He's fully around women all the time and flirts with those women in front of her face, yet she can't even go to a pool party. Like, that's what I was just so underwhelmed, you guys. There's so like I could go on about the questions, but I felt dissatisfied because all of the questions that I've literally, how many hours, you guys, did we watch? Literally.
The problem for me over the entire show, this is just one example of it, is I feel like we're going way too easy on these men and their bad behaviors. I actually do think that we're delving into more of the women. Oh, did you overreact? Should have you done this or that? I don't think we're going as hard on the men with their bad behaviors. Or I'm wrong. Do y'all think that they're equally going after the men and the women for their bad behavior? Because nobody addressed this with Stig.
And here's the thing, the season was excellent, you guys. The season was entertaining. As I told you guys, I was like, oh, 90 Days is really going back to the roots. Like, we're getting into the juicy details of things. So like, I think that's why I'm most disappointed, is because the tell-all was lackluster. Like, how are you going to come off of a great season and not wrap it up in a nice bow for us?
Right. And you knew what Corinth and Auntie Spring were going to come and say. Why can't we find those sources?
That's it. So, yeah. There's allegedly a girl from the video that he got with. They're apparently at least maybe one or two girls pregnant, plus maybe there's already a baby somewhere out there. And they just let him sit there and say, oh, no, that's not true. That's it. He didn't even say it with any passion, you guys. So you know he was just like, I'm not addressing this because I'm lying. I don't want to say too much because those baby mamas are going to question me. And then I'm just going to be like, oh, I didn't understand the question. That's why I was like, oh, no, what are you talking about? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, he was just let off way too easy. And the other part that was such a missed opportunity, because this whole show is based off of the immigration process and love. And so when Corinth said, well, are you not just reverse clout chasing Aviva because you want to go to the US and work on your music, which is exactly what we heard at the end of their little journey, right? When he was like, oh, well, you're going to bring me to America and we're going to move to Texas because there's a lot of opportunity there. She's like, what? This is the first I'm hearing about that. The show is about immigration and love. How do you not question him on that? There was no Abby. Okay, so yes, I know I'm working in entertainment and production and all this stuff. So to me, it all has to make sense and full circle. But this is TLC, right? Sharp Entertainment, huge production company. Someone had to see like this is a full circle moment for our show specifically.
Right.
How did we miss that opportunity?
I have a production question. So when Aviva was going into the retelling of all the mean things that Stig has said to her, at some point she said, oh, sorry. And then she went on to talk about something else. What kind of cue was being given to her?
So if she was going off of track and about to say something, because, you know, the cameras are all here, oftentimes there's like teleprompters or whatever, right? That have like leading questions, or sometimes they have your full on things that you have to talk about. But she may have been going somewhere where she was told that she's not allowed to go to, because there are things, right? You're on TV, so there's some things that you can't say, right? Because especially on live TV, because you can't then circle back and edit it out because you're live. So she might have been going somewhere where they already told her not to discuss. I don't know, but that's my assumption.
I thought it was interesting that they left it in. They left it in that she was saying all these things that he said, and it was like beep beep bleep 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 bleep. Then she was like, "Oh, sorry," and then moved on.
Also, too, she was cussing a lot. She was saying the F word every 5 seconds, and I think that whoever was bleeping out was like cut that out. Like, you have to stop cussing because you're on national TV. So she just stopped talking because she was saying the F word a lot, and they have a bit of leeway, but not a lot. All right. What? Oh, there's more. All right, I guess. We get to the confessionals. I thought that it was interesting that they made a big deal about the confessionals, and they used it a lot in part 1, but in part 2, it was kind of just randomly thrown in there last minute. Because I thought the confessionals where they said they could go at any time during the show and go to the confessional and tell what they wanted to tell. I thought that was a great idea, but they didn't utilize it how at least they sold it to us. Because part 2, they was randomly going and they're talking about random stuff. And yeah, anyways, miss opportunity. So Rick and Forrest are in the confessional. They both think Stig is a liar. And again, Forrest to the rescue. Forrest is like, Stig is basically sleeping around and he's going to become a famous rap star so that he could be sleeping around with all these women as well. And I thought that was hilarious. Elise thinks that Sheena's not being honest. Laura agrees. Lisa jumps in as well and then thinks that Sheena's hiding something. And so they're all now siding with Molly. And I noticed in the back, and I wonder if you guys noticed, Abby, did you notice that backstage? So Molly gets dismissed. Her segment is over. She's in the back, but they go to break. And she can't let go of her son by any means, you guys. So did you notice that while they were filming that, she was holding hands with him? Did you guys notice that? She's holding him so tight, and I thought that was the absolute photographic moment of the entire season. She is not going to let this man go by any means necessary. This grip is for the rest of his life. For the rest of his life. 100%. Yeah. That's her meal ticket. That is her paycheck. That is her pseudo husband. That is her emotional support system. That is her end all be all. That's probably in her mind her best accomplishment ever. And that's all she is. And if he moved away, she would be nothing. And I stand on that. She's like, I don't care what y'all say. She's toxic for him. And he's going to have no growth or development until he has a little bit of separation and can stand on his own 2 feet. Because for a 40-year-old man to say that he's tired and working 40 hours is stressing him out at 40 is beyond me.
So Rick said something that I wish that Forrest had pushed back on, or somebody. During their segment, he said it's impossible to be a faithful rapper because you have women who are constantly talking to you. And I wish somebody had pushed back on the idea that choice equals infidelity. The only thing that causes infidelity is the person, not because there are options available. It is a deliberate choice that you're making to be a cheater. And I just wish somebody had just pointed that out.
Good point. Hey, Olivia. Olivia says the tell-all was just so disappointing. She also said, I thought it was weird that Sheena lied about saying she was going to rip Emma's lips off and lied again. So yeah, she lies. I don't know why though.
Yeah. Becca mentioned that earlier. I don't know. We talked about this before when we were talking about like Submit and some of the other people that we've had on 90 Day from India. There's like different people and different cultures have different concepts of what is a lie and what is not a lie. And that's all I can say. Maybe this is part of what's also happening with Sheena.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that alone for now. I'm moving on. Do you want to add anything else before I move on to Elise and Joshua?
No, let's go with Lisa and Joshua. Well, Lisa and Forrest had a little funny exchange. Did you see? Lisa came and was asking all those questions, and she said, "Oh, I'm nosy, Forrest," and he was like, "I can see that."
Yeah, he's like, I know. That's okay, Ryan. Sheena seems to be a people pleaser. That's what I think it is. I think that when she's put on the spot, she doesn't know what to say, and she doesn't want to disappoint, and she doesn't want to come across as a bad person, so she lies. And I'm not excusing those lies, but I think that she is a people pleaser, and so she doesn't want to come across as the bad person, which is why she like flips stuff around, I think. That being said, Elise and Joshua broke up. Now they're reconciled because Joshua told Elise that their relationship was worth fighting for. So he reached out to her and said he wanted to work it out. And so they did. Here are all the things from the time that we last saw them together in Australia to current day. He got a new job. He makes more money. He has a regular salary. He stopped partying, allegedly. They share each other's locations, so they know where each other is 24 hours a day. He's not living with Nat anymore. They both love each other and have told each other that they loved each other. So she, meaning Elise, finally said, "I love you" back to Joshua. He came to visit her in Miami. They spent 2.5 weeks together, and they decided to get tattoos of each other's names. Elise is on his wrist side of his wrist, and Joshua is on the bone part of her back. And so I just gave you 8 things there, you guys. That was a lot of information. Not one question was asked. Not
Right.
I gave you 8 things there. I could get out of these 8 things at least 50 questions.
I mean, at least ask how long was the time period that you took getting yourself together before you contacted Elise again? Just give us that, Sean.
How about you made the friggin' storyline about him having a wishy-washy job and no place to stay? What's your new job? Where is it? How long have you been working there? What's your salary that you're going to be able to afford to have Elise come and live with you and support you, because she's obviously used to a certain type of lifestyle? You stop partying, but you look like you're coked out right now. You look like you've been partying last night.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why are you guys sharing locations? To me, that sounds like there's a trust issue. Is that only because there's a distance issue, or do you guys still have some trust things that you need to work out? You're not living with Nat anymore. Where are you living? Who are you living with? Do you live by yourself? Do you pay rent? Do you pay more? Like, no, I'm absolutely not happy at all. At all. Just, you're going to tell us all this stuff and not ask one question? But instead, you're going to bring Chris and say how weird the closeness between Chris and Joshua but then flip it and say that Elise is high maintenance. Like, it didn't make any sense to me. We find out that Josh bought Elise a ticket to Australia. It's one way. Chris didn't know it was one way, didn't know that in their minds, Elise and Joshua are having her make the big move. She's moving to be with him. And I was like, so we're just going to let that go. We're not going to talk, Abby, about and yes, I'm going to get to the trust fund baby stuff later, but we're not going to talk about what that looks like. What does it look like to leave America, to move to another country, to be with your loved one? Are we not going to talk about any of that immigration process, even though this is what the show is about? Before the 90 days? Abby?
A part of the very basic thing that you have to prove when you go into another country, even if you're doing a visa on demand, like that's what, for if you're a US citizen, mostly what we're doing is visa on demand, you arrive somewhere else. You have to prove your intent to depart from that country. How do you prove your intent to depart? With your return flight. So, on what permission is she going to Australia with no return flight? Not a single question asked about it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So Chris asked, "Is this permanent or just because you don't know when you're leaving?" And the plan is for her to be there permanently. And Chris is like, "Oh, that's great," because also he's moving. So allegedly he's moving out of Melbourne and moving closer to his son, which again, missed opportunity. You guys keep bringing up the son. We find out that, he's allegedly a deadbeat dad, but now he's moving closer to be with his son. Why are we not asking those questions? Like, I just don't. What am I watching right now? I'm watching to have more questions. I had a great season, and now I'm just like, because I have way more questions leaving this tell-all than I did this whole season. So whatever. Chris says, "Oh, now I can come visit you more often." And this is where Emma chimes in and says, "Hey, if you need a +1, I'll be your +1." I was like, Emma, in part 1, you wanted Forrest. We already know you're hooking up with Rob, and now you're gonna try to throw Chris into the mix. I mean, at least you're equal opportunity, girl. Go for it. Throw as many eggs out there as you want and see what hatches, I suppose. I'm not mad at it at all, actually, because I always say dating is dating. And if you're single, and if men can run amok and act a fool and just be like hooting and hollering, feel free to do the same, ladies. It won't be me, but I will cheerlead you to the end of the earth. So, okay, so she's moving allegedly to Australia. And then they bring Nat on. And I don't even know what to say about this, because it was like, so we just rehashed everything we already knew. They had a close relationship. Josh, she looks as her brother. He was there for her when she was going through her hard time. She doesn't think that Josh misled Elise in any type of way, shape, or form. Elise's behavior was erratic to her, and she was embarrassed for her behavior at the restaurant. And that's it. That's all we got from her. There was no, like, why. I think you guys get my point. I can ask a million questions, but like, how are you not going to ask a simple question like, why were you allowing this man to live with you? What is it that he was providing for you that you weren't getting elsewhere from your other friendships? Like,
yeah, Elise was the only. I mean, not Elise, but I think it was Laura was the only one to ask. You don't have any other friends?
That's it. Silver Linings, hey girl, hey, says Australia has super strict immigration. You can't just move there.
I mean, there's like 99% of countries you can't just move there.
Yeah. Y'all, I'll just say this. I met this Australian guy. That accent, it was like, it's a very like, it makes you not think straightly. See, and look, I'm not even speaking correctly, because that's how I just had a flashback of him. So funny.
Mine is French.
Oh yeah, I'm Canadian, so.
I mean, Quebecois.
Okay. Which is true. It's a fight. The Parisians and the Quebecois separate. They think like Canadian French is ghetto French. Like they're very like about it. But yes. All right. So Josh came to Miami for 2.5 weeks. We find out that Elise paid for most of the things, which made him feel like an itty bitty man, right? Because he paid for her quote unquote birthday dinner, but she paid for everything else. And then we find out that, the dad supports her. So what I found out from the interwebs is Elise's dad is not with an M, but a billionaire. He's like filthy, filthy rich. Filthy rich. Filthy rich. And she's had a trust fund from day one, which we find out also on the tell-all. So she lives off of that trust fund. And when she talked about writing a check against her trust fund, let's say her trust fund is, I don't know, give me an amount that sounds a lot, but not, I don't know. Let's say, I was going to say that. So let's say her trust fund is $500,000 a month. And for some reason, in 1 month, she has blown through that. And then she said, because no one writes checks anymore, she wrote a check against her trust fund. Is basically she's taking extra money over and above the amount allocated for that month. So it all makes sense to me, you guys. It all makes sense to me. Like her moving to Australia on a trust fund, that just makes sense to me, right? Because she's just going to pull from her trust fund. She doesn't have to worry about anything.
She should try Millionaire Matchmaker. Because I just don't think that dating someone who's not in her same economic range is going to go well, especially if that person doesn't have a very, very, very strong sense of self and high self-esteem. And Joshua don't have that.
Yep. But when asked, would you give up your trust fund to be with Josh? She did not answer. Instead, she said, I love you, baby, which is complete manipulation.
And what was crazy about, like, that was a very nice answer that she gave, right? Because all of us said trust fund immediately, right? We all said trust fund immediately, right? So she gave a very nice answer. But then Rick has the nerve to go call her a nitpicker.
I don't care what anything that Rick says. I don't care about, because I don't have respect for him. Nothing he says makes sense, because he literally is, in my opinion. This is my opinion, which is I'm allowed to have. He is a passport bro predator, and I'm not. I just cannot. I can't see past any of that. Even if you want to put on a sparkly suit to try to fucking, excuse me, try to blind me so that I can't see who you really are because you're sparkling so much. No. And also he gives me like I don't know how to explain it, Abby, but like he gives me like a 80s gross uncle that your mom would never let you be around alone. He gives me those vibes. You know what I'm talking about? Like that. You see it on TV. You see on TV where the mom's like, "Oh, come here, come here, come here," and the uncle's all like gross, and his face still looks like he's stuck in the 80s. I don't know. Can't explain it to you, but I just don't like it.
No, I know what you're saying. It's like the guy on Coming to America who played the villain, and he had the Jerry curl. That's what Rick reminds me of. His real name is Eric LaSalle, but I don't remember what his name was in Coming to America. But he's greasy, he's slimy. He's just going after whatever benefits him.
Yeah, it's gross. Jocelyn said his accent or his accent. What did I say? I don't know. Sometimes you guys, I don't know what I'm saying, but I hope you guys get the point.
I missed that one, Jocelyn. I missed that one.
So we go to the confessional. Elise says she's disappointed in herself for not saying all the things that she wanted. And I was confused because I thought that that's what the confessional was for them to say whatever they wanted to say. But I mean, I might have mistaken what the rules for this confessional were.
I thought she meant like she didn't feel like she took up for herself enough.
I know,
but I actually thought she did.
I thought she did too, but then instead of saying you didn't stand up for yourself in the confessional, just stand up for yourself
tell us.
in the confessional.
Right. Just give us the extra information that you would have shared.
And last and certainly least, they went to Rick and Trisha. She's excited about her baby. And I will tell you this, that the second logical question in this whole tell-all that Sean asked, only because she was prompted by Elise about who the father was she said, "Who's the father?" And Trisha's like, "Oh, someone I met 2 months after Rick on a work trip. He's Australian. We're not in a relationship anymore, but we're in touch for the baby." Not one follow-up question.
Yeah. What's the co-parenting plan?
Not even that. You're going to let this woman who we followed all season, who was with this guy, Rick, and I can't help it, but I don't know. Someone on our social media, Abia, called Rick the Trick, and that moniker has stuck in my head. So I will be calling him that for the foreseeable future. So you're gonna let Trisha be pregnant after Rick the Trick tried to trick her out, and not ask any, like, who's the daddy? I get maybe he wants to be anonymous, but I'm going to need to know when exactly you met him, what his nationality is, where exactly y'all met, how are you co-parenting this baby? Like, all the things. How do you just say, "Yeah, I met this random dude, we had sex, and now that's my baby daddy"?
I mean, I would have even asked, what was the work trip? You're a midwife? Were you somewhere doing some certificate program, or like what kind of, you have a new job? What work trip?
Yeah. And then again, because the production, Linda, is like, you guys had us focus so much on how important it is for her to have a baby, but also to be with the partner because they need the blessing of the family to move the legacy forward, and how important it is for the man to take care of the woman so the woman can take care of the baby. And now your daughter's having what you would consider an illegitimate child with some random dude that's going to be a baby daddy that she doesn't even talk to anymore, really. And we're not going to address that, but you have us as the fans wrapped into the culture. How are we going to be wrapped into the culture and not get questions that her culture would obviously think that are important?
Right.
Joslo, I will not be reading that on air, but both. So she's excited about her baby. We find out that Rick the Trick slept with someone the next day after his breakup with Trisha, right? So Trisha breaks up with him. He's at the hotel. He says he doesn't want to be by himself. So he goes to the lobby, meets some girl, does the whole, I didn't even understand what this meant, but she was eating fried chicken and he wanted a part of the chicken. Like some gross, disgusting 1980s American disgusting behavior, bad pickup line, blah. And so allegedly he met this girl and slept with her that same night. And what's crazy is that, so they break up on Monday. Tuesday, he is alone at the hotel because she slept at her own house. He's lonely for that one day, even though he's so in love with Trisha. But he goes to the bar, meets a woman, sleeps with her on Tuesday. On Wednesday, he's leaving for the airport, and Trisha shows up at the airport, and he kisses her on her mouth and says that he's going to try to work it out. You men lie. I don't want you guys to get wrapped up in some nonsense because men lie. This fool specifically, who I think Rick the Ick is a passport bro. I don't know, like platinum member. Okay? Platinum member. He knows every trick of the trade. He even the splash pad that we'll get to shortly, he travels with it, you guys. He takes it from every country where he is being has predatory behavior on young women from one country to another. This fool couldn't even leave Madagascar without roping in another woman into his disgusting behavior. And I know that some of you guys think that he's a good-looking man, but I gotta tell you, he's disgusting. And you can just see by his little beady eyes that he's like searching for his next prey. Women are nothing but sexual objects to this man, and he has no self-respect. And the fact that he continues to say how lonely he is, let me tell you something. When a man cannot be alone with himself is because he knows he's a terrible individual. And if he has to sit by himself with his disgusting thoughts, he's not going to survive. So instead, he's going to go prey on young, beautiful, unsuspecting, vulnerable women and pour all his insecurities on that woman to make himself feel better so that he doesn't have to deal with his bullshit behavior. Absolutely not. Oh, I cannot with this dude. Cannot. So he sleeps with another girl, turns around and gaslights Trisha at the airport, saying that he wants to be with her. He's gonna work out everything, all the things. And meanwhile, that's all BS. So the woman that he slept with, that relationship allegedly lasted 5 months. And he took her to Hong Kong. And do you see how he's constantly going to other places? That's all part of the passport bro mentality. Okay. Because here's what's going to happen. He's going to still sleep with the Madagascar girl that he brought to Hong Kong. But as soon as she gets on a plane, he wants to make sure that he's getting the best of the best. So he's also going to sleep with some girl that he finds in Hong Kong, you guys, because that's how he operates.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he operates.
Right.
Predatory behavior. And I get so mad because he thinks he's going to go to what he thinks is a country that's beneath America. Because you know what, you guys? What I will tell you about this, okay? This is what I know. As a Canadian, what I know about American women, okay? I don't care where you're from in America. American women are strong women, and they are going to, whether they're like, whatever, they're going to tell you exactly who you are. And you cannot be some weak ass, pathetic, low paying job, multiple baby mama, non-providing, low educated dude and think you're going to be up here, because there's a bunch of men in America that are better than you. So guess what your low level, low achieving, low vibrational self is going to do? You're going to pick yourself up out of America and you're going to go somewhere else and just live off the fact that you're American, and everywhere in the world thinks America is the land of the free and the blah, 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 blah. And you're specifically going to prey on third world countries where they think, if you live in America, you must be rich. And that's what he's going to prey on. But he can't get away with that behavior in America because he's like a 0 out of 10 compared to all of his colleagues, all of his equals. This man is 50 plus years old. 50 plus years old. He doesn't even have a proper job. But guess what? He has enough money to go passport bro to every other country to get his sex on. Think about why he can't get sex in America, because no one's falling for his BS.
Huge missed opportunity in this segment was bringing his ex-wife back. His ex-wife already spoke to us once early on. I don't know if you guys remember, but she did the K1 visa. He brought her over from Nigeria. And she said he presented himself that he was wealthy and he was going to provide for her. And she got to the US, she ended up having to financially support herself. So like, bring her back. Like, ask her, what would you say to Trish right now as she is still somewhat considering Rick? What do you have to say to her? That would have been beautiful. I'm 100% sure she would have told her something beautiful.
Missed opportunity again. You're absolutely right. Jazzo says that Rick is scared of growing old, basically underneath all his behavior. I think he's scared of growing old, but I also think that he is, just like I said, he's not okay with his own behavior. That's why he can't be with himself. Period. So while he takes this second girl to Hong Kong, we find out that Trisha went to Indonesia with her baby daddy. Again, can I get some context? You just told us that you don't even talk to him anymore, but then for your birthday, you went to Indonesia with him. I'm going to need some more information. That's all I'm saying. You guys keep throwing out all this stuff, but you're not wrapping it up in the bow that we need it to be in. Rick goes on to say that he moves on fast because Sean's like, oh, you really move on from relationship to relationship. And he says that he has a fear of being alone. Now, I'm no therapist, but I will say this. If you think you have a fear of being alone and you're on an international TV show that exposes that you use women for sex and that you are a passport bro, I would think that someone would show him via all the footage how his behavior is going to make him be alone at the end of the day.
Right.
Go ahead.
I wanted somebody to say, because he kept saying, I admit that I made some mistakes. I wanted somebody to say, you didn't make mistakes. A mistake is knocking the milk off the counter. You made deliberate, calculated choices to be a terrible person. Sit with it. Sit with what you did. Sit with what you did. You didn't go to Colombia to see your ex and spend time with her while pretending that you and Trish were still together. You booked a flight. You drove to the airport or had someone else drive you there. You got on that flight. You ate the snacks on that flight. You landed. You called an Uber or took transportation to a hotel. You met that person at that hotel. Like, each action was a choice, not a mistake. When it slipped out, you put it back in. That was a choice. Not a mistake. Cheating is not a mistake. Each action is a choice. Each incremental action taken is a choice.
Not the snacks on the plane, Abby.
Just saying. You was on there, you were on the plane eating Biscoffs. You weren't saying, oh my goodness, mistake.
Those Biscoffs are bomb. You guys, you know what? Go ahead and get you some Biscoffs and put it in your bag. When you get home, put a little Biscoff with, and here's the thing, it has to be real vanilla ice cream. I don't know what y'all are selling in America now, this vanilla snack stuff that's like, they can't even say ice cream because it's not ice cream, but I need you to find some real ice cream and put it together, make a little sandwich. It's the best little sandwich you'll ever have.
You know what I do at mine, Linda? You're going to find this so disgusting. I open mine and let them get stale.
Nope. I don't need to hear anything else, Abby. You were already on thin ice with your little raspy voice. We're gonna wrap this up because I already feel it going off the rails right now. Abby and I are about to take it off the rails. Okay, so Rick admits that he has made a lot of mistakes in his relationship with Trisha. But he says that he was, quote, confused because he hadn't consummated his relationship with her yet. That's why he went to see his ex in Colombia. Again, just solidifying everything I'm talking about, Passport Bro, because really, um, then while he was in Madagascar, we find out that his ex was calling and calling and calling, and he was talking to his ex in Colombia while he was laying in bed with Trisha in Madagascar. Gross. And then he asked the audience and his fellow castmates, don't any of them have feelings for multiple people at once?
As if that's not all you did, Rick. That's not all you did. Also, like when he was going through the whole like, sorry, I'm got feedback. Okay, when he was going through the whole like, we hadn't consummated the relationship yet. The question somebody should have asked him right then was, okay, well then why were you grilling Trish about seeing her ex?
Yep, that part. He allegedly says that he hasn't talked to his ex in months, which I don't believe from 1 minute. And for what I'm seeing on the interwebs, that is absolutely not true. Go ahead and go to our 90 Day the Melanated Way and look at. I posted, you guys. I'm coming back surely but slowly. But if you go look at what I posted today, you can see that he's a little bit of a 2x4 liar, 2x4. Trisha doesn't know if she wants him back. She's 50-50 because she kind of 50% still loves him, but 50% doesn't trust him. Go ahead and focus on you, boo. Focus on you and this baby that you have with this random Australian. I think that should be occupying your time, as well as you're a midwife. You don't need this random loser who is double your age, who's bringing nothing to the table to do what for you exactly. Emma. Oh, Emma, who's hooking up with Rob, who has a crush on Forrest, who is hitting on Chris, is now saying that she would take Rick back. And I don't know if you guys noticed it backstage when the tele was over and they were hugging goodbye. She's like, oh, I'll call you later. I was like, oh, that is no. Run, Emma, run. You are right up his alley. And before you know it, you're going to be in his friggin' what is it? The splash pad. You're gonna be on the splash pad and not even know why you're there. Don't do it.
I mean, maybe she's just calling him about new wigs. It's just in case you guys don't know, Rick sells wigs on TikTok.
Okay. My note says I'm underwhelmed. I'm also weirded out by the bromance that's going on between Rick and Forrest. Forrest, that should not be someone that you look up to. I promise you, he's not it.
At all.
And then the most fireworks we got from the entire tell-all happened after the tell-all was over between Emma and Elise. Emma's upset with Elise because she values their friendship. She confided in Elise that she had been hooking up with Rob for the last year, which I find fascinating, you guys, because, you know, Emma is now tied to Jamal, and they are allegedly in like a relationship, and Jamal and Rob are in the Bad Boys band together. So like, I'm going to need someone to explain explain all of that. But it might just be, you know, we're all in the 90 Day universe thing because, you know, we know that Rob and Elise were familiar. So I mean, I don't know, but here we are. So she's upset that Rob told her that Elise was trying to hook up with him again because they met at a party again, and Elise was like, hey, you know, come over, I'll call you an Uber, come cuddle with me. And allegedly Emma had screenshots of all of this stuff. Okay, show us the screenshots. Don't tell me you have a screenshot and then not show me the screenshot.
Right, you can't tell and not show.
Right. It's on Becca, it's on Instagram. 90 Day the Melanated Way. Instagram. 90 Day the Melanated Way. Instagram. That's where you'll find a lot of stuff. Abby and I do a lot of clips and stuff like that. You should be following us on Instagram. It's different. It's the same, but it's different. Anyway, so they're fighting over Rob. Elise says none of that stuff is true. Let's call him, which is absolutely what you should have done. You want to make this juicy for all of us? Call him. Let's throw him in the mix. But no, Emma didn't want to do that. And she starts crying and she says that she has feelings for Rob. Emma, I said this at the end of your segment. You need to go and be on your own and figure out who you are and what you love about yourself. Go and travel to get the travel experience, not to center your life around a man. Because all of this, whatever it is you're doing, because I don't even know what to call it, but all of this, like, just man is the center of your world, is not showing me that you love yourself and respect yourself and know who you are as an individual. Because you're a beautiful woman. I found out that you're an entrepreneur. She makes wigs, sells wigs. Do that. Become like the next, I don't friggin' know, the next famous wig maker out there. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand why you're centering your life around these men that are using you for your body. So Elise gets pissed off, starts yelling, and then she's more mad that she lost her temper because she's like, that guy is not your boyfriend. He can do what he wants. And you are also hooking up with other guys. And here's the thing. You're just hooking up. I don't want to be with him. So, like, why are we making this an issue within our friendship? Doesn't make sense to me. And the thing that was so funny to me, you guys, is this Forrest comes gumping in because he's leaving. And I was like, someone said, you know, this was pinnacle Forrest. You're going to come into a room where you have Elise, Emma, Aviva, all heated young women fighting with each other. And you're going to come in and be like, hey, what's up, ladies? I'm just leaving right now. I just want to say goodbye to you. So great meeting you. What a great time. And individually break that up, not reading the room. I just laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. He jumped into that chaos just to say goodnight to the ladies. And I'm not mad at him. Abby, I'm not mad at him.
It was hilarious.
He said Forrest is as Forrest does.
His mama named him correctly. She did that. Molly, you were perfect on the naming of your child.
Oh, God. Joslo said, I heard the 90 Day Bad Boys broke up. Jamal doesn't talk with Josh or Rob anymore. I haven't heard that, Joslo. I'll have to look in. I'll have to go into my phone and find out what the tea is on that. That being said, Elise hates the men in Emma's life, and so do I. And I hate the fact that Emma makes her life centered around men. I think she should do more with her life and deserves better than that. What do you have to add?
I just want to ask Emma, you want to be in a relationship so bad. Once you get the man to be in the relationship with you, then what? What is it that you're rushing towards? Just out of curiosity, I just want to understand.
Hopefully, we can ask her. That's all we got, you guys. It was a great show. It was a great season. Hit us up with any questions that you thought were not asked, and maybe we can try to answer them. And stay tuned with us as we continue to cover the single life. I know that there are a bunch of new 90-day stuff starting and have started. And Abby and I will let you know what we're covering next. And if you have any standouts that you want us to cover,
Yeah, say it. I'm into Last Resort because it's got a lot of old familiar people, but I'm also into the new OG 90 Day. There's some interesting storylines happening there. So if you have a preference, let us know.
did you all cover Javon and Anna? We did in part 1, Brown Frown, and they did not circle back to them. Like I said, this tell-all was lackluster. It missed a lot of talking points, so I totally get it. I totally get it. I'm underwhelmed, you guys, as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you guys shortly. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. May the 4th be with you. Bye, y'all.